Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it is all ball all the time. You are here with your host, Sean and Isaiah. This is episode number 57, and today we are going to be talking about the biggest news we've had in quite possibly the whole summer, and that is the Donovan Mitchell trade to the Cavaliers. So Isaiah, how you feeling today, and what are your initial thoughts on this trade?
First and foremost, I'm stunned. Absolutely stunned. Heard zero news of the Cavs even being in trade talks for Donovan Mitchell. So just first initial reaction, I'm completely caught off guard. But ultimately, I think this was a very, very good trade for the Cavs.
Yeah, I also believe that this is by far the best trade out there for the Cavs that they could have made, without sacrificing anyone like Mobley or any of their other big pieces. I mean, realistically, they got rid of a guy they were already wanting to get rid of, an expendable guy in marketing, and then a rookie, and 5 picks, which with this roster that they have now, at most are,
like
in the 20s
mid
for the
first
draft.
rounds, probably late first rounds, yeah.
Right. And, like you said, there was no talk of Cleveland in the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. There was teams like the Knicks. I even heard the Heat. There were some other teams out there I know that were interested in Donovan Mitchell. But one thing I have to say, and this is a little off, not off topic, but this has to do with the Knicks. Y'all have just bought yourselves in to almost every star on the market, and yet have failed to acquire any of them.
Dang, that's really... No, that is so crazy. All of these stars that they have been in talks for years, and not a single one has landed there.
Exactly. KD, Donovan Mitchell. Who were some other, like Kawhi?
Kyrie too, because when they're talking about getting KD, they're gonna get him. They were hoping to draft Zion.
Yeah.
Oh man, just L after L.
They had one good year, which was the year they made the playoffs. And then after that, it just went back to normal New York Knicks things.
Knicks gonna Knicks.
But yeah, back to the Cavaliers and the Jazz. So obviously the Jazz have hit the full rebuild mode, button. Do you think that they should have gotten this, package they received, or they should have gone for or asked for slightly more proven talent? Because at the moment, with all the picks that they've gotten, it's pretty clear they're going for talent through the draft than proven talent in the, already in the league.
I think ultimately that would have been the safer move. But I think the problem with going for the proven talent is that there weren't too many options available that would have been, this absolutely great proven talent. Like, I think Colin Sexton is about as good as anybody else that they were realistically getting offered. And so with that, I think taking the risk with these 5 picks is worth it, because at the end of the day, 5 picks, it's still 5 picks. At least one of those has to hit.
I think when you're looking at the New York trade situation, they obviously have a lot more young talent-wise, to offer than the Cavaliers do, at least from the perspective of what they would be willing to give up for Donovan Mitchell. Like, obviously, you're not giving up Mobley. Obviously, you're not giving up Garland. And I don't think you're trading Allen unless it's for a superstar player.
And then not giving up a Coro either.
Right. And when you look at the Knicks, I mean, that team is at the point where they should be willing to trade anything, I'm guessing, except RJ. And
I mean, if
you
they
got
could
guys
have
like
gotten
Quickly.
Donovan Mitchell, I feel like trading Barrett would have been fine too.
I don't know. I know a lot of Knicks fans are really attached to RJ and his potential because he's still only 21, 22,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't know if he has the ceiling that most people expect him to have.
And that is exactly why I said what I said. I don't think, off what we've seen, that RJ Barrett has the potential to be the kind of player that Donovan Mitchell is, or the caliber of player that Donovan Mitchell is. So
Hmm.
giving him up and getting Donovan Mitchell in return would have been a no brainer to me.
I mean, yeah, you could because you can give up guys like Toppin, Quickly, Grimes. Those are three guys that you know, especially like Toppin, who's kind of seemed to, I guess, be one of the less valuable to come out of that draft
Mm-hmm.
and not really prove much. Grimes has shown some pretty good flashes. I know he got a lot of run last year. Quickly, he's also shown a lot of good flashes. And I think with those three, obviously that doesn't, match up contractual wise, but I think those three would have been better than Sexton, Marketing, and Abaji.
Oh yeah, that definitely would have been a much better move in terms of current talent that's already in the league, proving itself. But
Hmm.
would the Knicks have attached 5 picks to it? Now, granted, it would make less sense to attach 5 picks there since they're getting better proven talent. But hey, clearly the Jazz care more about picks than players.
Hmm. So, how does this set the Cavaliers up in the East for you? Are they a top three team, a top five team? You know, where are they at?
The way that I look at it, I think this puts them at minimum top 5. And it gives them
Hmm.
very, very high top 3 potential. Because if we look at what they did last season, ignoring injuries, because that's the only reason that they dropped as low as they did, ignoring injuries, they were 4th at the highest, I believe. And so you take that same roster, because at the end of the day, they did most of that with Colin Sexton gone. So ultimately, getting rid of
Hmm.
him, even if they didn't get back Donovan Mitchell, if they just got rid of him for an average player, it's ultimately an addition and an upgrade from their last season roster that was successful. So taking him and then putting Donovan Mitchell in his empty space that he left is a huge boost.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're completely right because of the injuries. I mean, they were injured for what? About half their team was injured for about half the season.
Yeah, I think that's being generous. It was probably worse than that.
Um, okay, so like top three. Obviously, you have the Celtics up there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing you also have the Bucks. I think the 76ers are in contention for that top three. I think the Heat probably won't be as good as they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, I really don't see another team out there that can contend for, that top three other than the Celtics, Bucks, and 76ers.
Exactly.
The Nets are just too much of a wild card at this point to say they're even top five.
And I absolutely 100% agree with that. The Nets, from really just their last season in general, but especially from their playoff run, if you can even call it a run, throughout this off season, have been an unpredictable mess of just ridiculously bad news left and right. So I'm not sure how well that translates to maybe a lack of regular season success or even just straight up turmoil within the roster. But I think there are definitely way too many question marks about where the Nets are mentally as players and a front office to put them anywhere in this top three, top five discussion.
Right. And it'd feel like we would be like once again doing the exact same thing if we were to put them as a top contender, which we've done for what, like the last 2 years?
Exactly. Basically
And
exactly what happened when they got James Harden, where we were just like,
mhm,
oh, they got Harden, the league's done. The league's over. They're top one, top two, top one, top two. And never lived
get
up to that.
eliminated second round.
Second round, then first round. Like, come on now.
Yeah. So those are my top four that are in contention for my top three in the East. Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, and now the Cavaliers.
Yeah. The only thing that I think is another wild card is Atlanta. Because it all depends on what that DeJounte Murray trade does for them. Because at the end of the day, like we
Mhm.
talked about before when we talked about this trade, they obviously they kept Trey. They got to keep John Collins and Capella as well. So I think when healthy, they could be a good wild card team too.
Okay, quick question about DeJounte Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of have a feeling I know your levels of players, right?
Okay.
DeJounte Murray, all-star level player or superstar level player?
Absolutely all-star level, not even close to superstar level in my opinion.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same
Okay.
page. Um, so for the Jazz, do you think this makes them the worst team in the West now? Because listen, there's some pretty bad teams out there. There's like the Spurs. Spurs are going to be by far top three worst team.
Mm-hmm.
We have a chance of being the worst team. The Thunder have a chance of being the worst team. Trailblazers have a chance of being, top five worst teams. Even the Kings. But what about the Jazz now?
I think one thing is for certain is that the Jazz are absolutely living up to those three letters after the music note. And I think they're definitely going to be in contention with, us, the Thunder, the Spurs for those bottom seedings because there's no way that a roster that has Colin Sexton as your best player is accomplishing much of anything. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not a knock on Colin Sexton.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, he's Colin Sexton. He's not LeBron. He's not Kawhi. He's not a guy that you can put him on a roster as the best player, and the team's just going to be better. I mean, look at how Devin
Mhm.
Booker did as the best player on his team. The Suns are terrible, and it's like you can only do so much when your best player is someone who's a good but not great player, and then your second best player is it could just be a toss up on any given night.
I'm looking at these standings from last year
Mm-hmm.
and moving out a team like the Jazz from, the playoff spot,
Mm-hmm.
moving out the Spurs. This gives the Kings by far their best chance to make the play-in or the playoffs I think they've had in years. And if they don't do it here, I think they need to be relocated or something.
Oh yeah. If the Kings don't at least make the play in, then they. I feel like that has to be grounds for their team's contract with Sacramento to be terminated, and just give the team back to Seattle, because there's no way that with the Spurs moving out of the play in and with the Jazz moving out of the playoffs that they can't squeeze in there. Because obviously, with that double movement, I think that gives the Lakers a clear like play-in spot for sure. And that
Right.
still
That's what I was
leaves
about to say.
one more spot. So Sacramento, if you can't do it, I think everybody on that roster needs to go, dissolve the team. I don't care what happens, but Sacramento just needs to stop at that point. Whatever they're doing, stop it.
At this point, it's just between the Kings and the Trailblazers who wants that playing spot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more.
Yeah, and then really that all depends on if Dame can stay healthy for the full season and if Nurkic lives up to your prediction.
Yeah, honestly, I always forget that I made that prediction, but yeah, maybe not all-star level Nurkic, but uh, pretty good center Nurkic.
Yeah, I think pretty good center Nurkic, and then Dame being his usual self is good enough to beat the Kings for a play-in spot. So Kings, you better hope that Dame gets injured again.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Last question for the Cavaliers. What do you see their outlook as for the next 5 years? Do you think they're automatically right now, without even seeing them play together, a championship contender? Or do you think this is going to take like a year to work out? Maybe. I'm sure they'll still be, like a top 5, top 3 seed. But do you think they'll need a year to go ahead and be fully ready to compete?
um, I think that I don't think necessarily that they're going to need a year, but I think they'll need some time within this year because the
Mm-hmm.
system that they had last season when healthy was extremely effective, as we saw. And to take that system and now have to integrate such a high volume scorer like Donovan Mitchell into it, it's definitely going to leave room for some kinks that need to be worked out. So yeah, I think with such a large addition, there's going to be a pretty large adjustment period. But I think once that
Mm-hmm.
adjustment period is settled and everything's all good, which I think happens within this season, I think they become a serious threat.
Okay. And okay, actually, I have another follow-up question. Does Donovan Mitchell stay a 20-point scorer?
I think he does for sure, just because without a doubt, that's the most significant contribution that he has on the floor. By
Mm.
far, him scoring is when he is most useful on the court. It's not even close between that and what he's second best at, whatever you may think that is. So, without a doubt, he's definitely going to get his 20 per game. I think the questions are one, does Darius Garland make that jump to 20 points now that Donovan Mitchell is here? And two, really, two isn't even a question. I think two is absolutely certain that Jared Allen goes back below that 20 area. Like, I think he drops pretty significantly.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm on board with you there too. I just think with Mobley and Garland still more than likely getting their fair share of shots,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's obviously going to be harder for Mitchell to hit those 20 points. But I still think it's very much doable for Mitchell, like because you said that is his best, attribute scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I guess if I had to say what would be his second best, like you said, I mean, I think it has to be playmaking. Maybe not even like. Well, I don't know. Would you consider playmaking for yourself part of scoring?
Oh, no, not even close. Because this is how I think it's clear to just make a distinction between the two. Think of Ricky Rubio and Lonzo in his Lakers days. Elite
Mm-hmm.
playmakers who make the game easier for all of their teammates. But you're lucky if they put double-digit points on the board.
Mhm.
So I think playmaking is a very clear, separate thing from scoring.
Well, no, not like playmaking in general. I'm saying more of playmaking for yourself, like shot creating.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, no, shot creation.
Is that part of
Yeah,
scoring?
that's a whole separate thing. And yeah, shot creation, I think, absolutely is a part of scoring.
Okay, well then there we go. Yeah, I guess I did word it pretty wrong. But okay. All right, was that it? That's all you wanted to talk about for the Cavaliers and the Jazz trade?
Yep, that's all I got.
All right, well we will catch you on the next episode. Wait, I'm starting the outro all kind of wrong. I'm already ending the episode. Okay, if you like the episode, go ahead and like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Isaiah, any last comments?
If you enjoy, don't forget to share the podcast with as many people as you can.
All right, now we will catch you on the next episode.